Hello, and thanks for watching my video. This is Adam with cloudautomation.blog. In this video, we're going to go over how to provide useful information to the end user through vRealize automation around an Azure VM. So what we're looking at right now is what VMware has provided to us out of the box for the end user to view after they've provisioned an Azure VM through vRealize automation. So if I click close here, just to show you how I got there, if I open up my deployment and then actually click into that individual component of the deployment, that is the menu that we get here. That is more or less the display we get here, which again, some of it's useful information, but it's not what we're used to seeing in vRealize automation. Within VRA, obviously it's highly centric on vCenter. So the information provided in a vCenter deployment was far more useful than what you see here. And you may not even need to provide some of this information to the end user, such as like the image SKU, the image version, the image offer. But you may need other things like the disk, the amount of disks, the total number of disks that they can provision, the CPU, the memory, etc. It says the size right here, but to a typical end user, they may not know what standard A1 version 2 means. So what I'm going to show you is a day 2 operation around how to actually make it look more like what VMware provides for a vSphere deployment out of the box. So this on the right, you can see actions. I'm going to click Azure Pull Data. And this looks a little bit more like what is the out of the box for a vSphere deployment. So you can see the name, the component, the status. That's more or less the power. Is it running? Is it powered on, powered off? CPU's memory, storage. And I'm still building this out. If you notice, I put OS only because I put that in there and I realized I'm pretty sure it's only pulling the OS data disk and not the rest of the data disks. Business group, the Azure location. So the only thing you'll notice is that I can't actually click the tabs. So I can't click image storage network. I've created these tabs, but because this is an action, it thinks that I'm progressing through something. So if I click next, there's the image data. Again, maybe that's not useful. Storage information, the network information, and then any properties. So any tags and then the actual ID of the box. One thing to keep in mind is that this is completely customizable because maybe you don't need to see the blueprint name, or maybe your end user doesn't need to see the business group, the location, or whatever. Maybe they do need to see that and they need to see other data as well. So how do we actually do this? How did I customize this day 2 operation, actually display this data? So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to vRealize Orchestrator, or VRO. And I created just a workflow called Azure Pull Data. No attributes, pretty straightforward workflow. The input is where it's key, and then the schema. The schema, it's just one scriptable task, but there's nothing actually happening here. I passed the in just to pass it in, but you don't need to. That's just for logging, no out. And the scripting is literally do nothing because there's nothing to do. What's key here are the inputs. And I'm only using 3 of these in my actual demo. I added a 4th one to do some testing. But you could add whatever you wanted here around the actual Azure connection in the VM. So you can see I'm passing the virtual machine, which is a type Azure virtual machine, resource group, Azure resource group extended, the virtual machine object. Again, that's just the Azure virtual machine. And then the connection object, so the Azure connection. If I go back to vRealize automation, this is where we take that data and actually do something with it. So I'm going to click cancel on this. I'm going to go to design. X as a service, resource actions. So what you're going to do is you're going to click new, orchestrator. You're going to find that workflow, pull data, click next. The input parameter, you want to select the virtual machine. Either one, they're both Azure virtual machine types. In this case, I'm just going to do virtual machine. Click next, give it a name, give it a description, a version if you want, and then some target criteria. Click next. And then the form. So this is the key piece here. So as you can see, there's these 3 items. You actually want to leave these on the canvas. I found that I ran into some issues if I deleted these off the canvas. But what you can do is you can actually hide these. If you click constraints and then you go visible and you go constant, you can click no. So that will hide that off that form. So what you do now is actually drag a text field. Just to make this a little bit cleaner, I'm going to add another form here, another form page. Click submit. So what I would do is I'd actually drag that text field on, and let's say I just wanted name. Label would also be name. Let me click submit. And this is where the magic happens. So click that box, click constraints. You want to click value. You want to click field, define field values. And as you can see, there's those items that we added as inputs on the actual workflow. And what we're going to do is we're going to click the virtual machine, and we're going to go down to name. And click apply, and this is key. Do not forget to do this. I've filled out like 5 or 6 of these text box or these items and realized that I never clicked apply here, even though I clicked apply on that previous window. You have to click apply again, and then you're good. So if I click and go constraints, you'll see the value is set. Same thing, let's say you wanted CPU. Submit, go to constraints, go to value, go to field, define field values, virtual machine, and you're going to go down to virtual machine number of cores. So this is the first apply I was talking about. Apply right there. That just saves it temporarily. You have to click apply here. If you drag another one on, which I've done before, it deletes that entry. So click apply, and you go on and on and on to actually create this form. So I'm going to click cancel. I'm going to go back to my original Azure pull data that's already completely filled out. I'm going to go over to form, and this is where we saw those tabs. So general, image, storage, network properties. And you're literally just going through all the different options. So you go to constraints, value, field, define field values. You can see this one's the CPUs for the virtual machine number of cores, but you can really dig through here to figure out what do you want to provide to your end user. Is it something around the resource group? Is it something around the connection to Azure? Is it something with the catalog item that you're actually requesting within vRA? So there's the virtual machine, but then there's also the virtual machine catalog item that you requested. So there's all kinds of cool things that we can provide to the end user. It's really up to you. The last thing I really love about vRA 7.2 and above are the out-of-the-box integrations that are provided within VRO. So what I mean by that is if I jump over to vRA, you can see under the properties form page on the Azure Pull Data action, I have a box called tags. And if I go to constraints, you'll see the value is set to external, which is set to an action in VRO. And I'm passing in the virtual machine object, virtual machine, from this workflow. If I jump over to VRO, you can see I created this get Azure VM tags. And all I'm doing is I'm passing in the virtual machine object, and I'm just returning the virtual machine object.tags. And what that does, just that single line, what that'll do is that'll go out to Azure, pull all the tags down live, and then return those. I ingest those via this process that we're looking at here on the right, and those are displayed in this map display. In one of my next videos, I'll detail how to add and pull tags all real time. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please comment, subscribe, and have a great day. Thank you.